Okay, then we're going to get it started now. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. We at Bookboost try to host these monthly webinars with some great partners from the industry to share more information about trends, valuable insights, everything that hoteliers want to know more about. So really nice that you are here with us today. I'm going to introduce myself just very quickly. I'm Joanna, and I'm the marketing manager at Bookboost. And Bookboost is a platform designed for hoteliers to help them use their guest data to create amazing experiences. We have a CRM, a unified inbox, and we help you to communicate with your guests from pre-stay to post-stay during the entire guest journey. So I'm really happy that everyone is here with us today, and we have some amazing partners joining for this webinar about what is new in hospitality. We're going to talk about the PMS space, the revenue management space, the upselling space, and of course, marketing and CRM space. So I'm going to start introducing our great partners that are joining us today. First, from the PMS space, we have Krasimir from Clock PMS. Hi, Krasimir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Krasimir from Clock. I have been in hotel tech industry for 26 years now. What I can say is that we love helping hoteliers or inventing ways to help hoteliers rediscover the best ways to service their guests and to run their properties.
Amazing. Thank you for being with us today. Then we go to the revenue management space, and we have Alexandra from Atomize. Hi, Alexandra.
Hello, Johanna. Thanks for having us today. We're happy to be here. So my name is Alexandra Fjellman. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Atomize. And for those of you who don't know, Atomize is a lean revenue management software. We help hotels to optimize their pricing in real time. We work together with 500 properties worldwide, helping them to boost their revenue and increase operational efficiency.
Amazing. Thank you, Alexandra, for joining us. Then we move into the upselling space, and we have Jos from Roomdex today. Hi, Jos.
Hi, Joanna. Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone. My name is Jos Schaap. I am, as Joanna said, CEO and founder at Roomdex. Roomdex is a company that focuses on upselling. We are trying to put that very much down to making the whole process 100% automated, which includes automated inventory control, pricing, and all kinds of other things. We take a lot of pride in introducing and bringing to market successfully attribute-based selling, which I'll talk about a bit more throughout this hour, which really has helped hotels to increase customization, guest personalization, and of course revenue. Myself, I'm a little longer than Krasimir in this industry. I'm doing this for 30 years or something. Started off with micros many years back. Thank you.
Great, Jos. Thank you for joining us today. And last but not least, we have our great Anna from Bookboost. She's the partner and sales director. So hi, Anna.
Hey, Joanna, and hey, everyone. Happy to be here. Happy to have this conversation. And as Joanna mentioned before, Bookboost is a hospitality engagement platform that improves guest relationship, enhances marketing effectiveness, and simplify processes. And it's specifically built for the hospitality industry. On my end, for myself, I've been in the industry on both sides, the supplier and also in hospitality for 10 plus years. So yeah, and with Bookboost for about 4 years now. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, such a nice panel we have today. And before we get started, because we are giving people some time to join, like the ones that are a bit late, we're going to have one question because we need your help. Basically, we want to know what topic would you like us to talk about in our next webinar. So please, we're going to have a poll right now. Give your vote. Which one do you think is the most interesting one? You will see it on the screen right now. Please vote on what is it that you would like to know about. We have, for example, guest loyalty, how to increase it and profit from it. Guest experience in 2024, do's and don'ts. Guest journey, how to create a strategy and best practices. And all of them are good topics. So just vote for whatever you want to, and that will help us a lot to plan some more useful webinars for such a nice community. We're just going to let it 20 more seconds. So go ahead, please vote while you still have a chance before we close the poll. Okay, 10 more seconds. And okay, we close it now. Great. Thank you everyone for voting. As I can see so far, and as you can see now, one of the most, well, actually everyone voted for all the topics. Like that's like the most powerful option. So that's great to know. Okay, now we are gonna get started then. And let's jump into the first question that we have. Let's just see. Okay.
But Johanna, before we get started, I have a thought I would like to share with everyone.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
super. When we host a webinar like this, talking about trends and what's new, it comes with a responsibility to also bring something new to the table. And I personally believe that technology is what is going to drive most of the innovation in hospitality, and the future will center around prioritizing supporting technology to boost human interaction and to empower the guest experience. And when technology is integrated in your organization and sits in the background as a silent and supportive and reliable partner, you have already come far. So let's elaborate a little bit on this today. And I ask everyone to interact and engage with us to make this an innovative and interesting session.
Yes, of course. If you want to ask any questions, please just go ahead and use the chat or the Q&A function so everyone can read you, and the panelists also are gonna answer questions online, but also by chat. So please just go ahead and ask whatever you want to ask. So now we're gonna jump into our first question, and we're gonna start from the PMS space. Okay, so Krasimir, this question is for you. How are cloud-based PMS solutions revolutionizing the hotel industry? And what advantages do they offer in terms of flexibility, scalability, and especially real-time data access?
Thank you, Joanna. Great question. So I believe the right answer to this is by leveraging the advantages of the cloud technology to create not just better, but a different solution. Let's look at this from the perspective of what the traditional property management system is. Just look at its name. It emphasizes a relation to transactional and administrative components at managing rooms, invoicing, billing, this kind of stuff. That's great because after all, hotel properties are real estate entities that need to be managed. Let's not, however, forget that on top of this, guests are not coming to these properties, however, only to lease the real estate or to stay overnight in that room. They're also coming for the entire service, for the entire experience, for all these invisible but very important components. In this regard, I believe that the new cloud solutions, and I'm deliberately making a distinction between a PMS and a new cloud solution, are recalibrating their focus towards the service element I'm already speaking about. They aim to enhance the overall guest experience significantly. They are transcending that traditional roles from being administrative tools for staff to manage bookings, and instead of trying to, let me formulate it like this, they're trying to increasingly position themselves as enablers of even champions of more streamlined hospitality journey, amplifiers of exceptional guest service, enabler of higher revenue or acquisition of new revenue opportunities, and of course, boosters of staff efficiency. And that means that modern day solutions, cloud solutions, are redefining who their users are. Unlike before, when we all thought that the user is the receptionist or the front desk manager or the housekeeping manager, today the scope of those users, which modern day cloud solutions envision, but not only include staff, but would include guests themselves, partners, and third-party specialized hotel solutions like those represented by each of those fantastic panelists today. This is an approach way more scaled and adapted to the reality, to the actual human, even if you want, structure, where you have colleagues from different departments, each specializing in something. So having said that, new modern solutions are no longer these self-sustainable, self-sufficient standalone units of the past. They are becoming one of the equal partners in the new technology stack, kind of a foundational enabler of data exchange between all these important apps. Because obviously, the crucial data shared within, or rather processed by the PMS, is needed for those amazing solutions which each of your companies have developed.
Yes, thank you, Krasimir. I think that's a great point that you mentioned, how the PMS should be an enabler. Yeah, right. So maybe hoteliers that are listening today, you can think about that question, like, is your PMS an enabler? Like, is enabling you to do all these connections to actually get the best of the best, right? That's a good point to think about. Now we're going to move a little bit.
Joanna, I want to add something to that. I think that's that's a very good point from you and Krasimir that you brought up. As I mentioned, I've been in this business for 30 years, and I was for years in charge of the Micros Opera product, both on the product and engineering side, where, you know, at the time, technology was different than it is today. But at the time, you had to buy a license, you had to install a PC to put the integration interface on. And today, and, you know, Clock PMS is an example of that. Everything is in the cloud. The connectivity is basically almost a given. It's very easy to achieve. I'm not sure what the commercial agreements are within Clock, but many PMSs today do not charge for that anymore. So it really allows companies like us, Roomdex, Bookboost, and Atomize, to kind of offer the opportunity for hotels to try it, sometimes even for free, which is what we do. People can try out the connectivity, not having to pay anything. And, you know, if they like it, they can continue. And if they don't, or it doesn't work for them, they could just try something else. That technology was not available just a few years back. So I think integration and operability between these systems today, you know, thanks to companies like Clock, has really moved forward.
If you also, Jos, that's a great point, and I'll be shorter with my next answer, simply because Jos gave me a good ball to play here. It's so important, connectivity, that with the time being, initially we're limiting the number of included integrations. With the time being, we understood that it is useless, simply because people need to exchange data. So now, in our case, all integrations are free of charge, unlimited. So you just plug them in and play.
That's great, for sure. And it's so important. People need to connect and data needs to be transmitted. So yes. Okay, that's great. Thank you for sharing, everyone. And now we're going to move a little bit to the marketing and CRM space. So let's talk about what's new there, right? And there is a shift in several industries. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's changing from transactional marketing to relationship marketing, right? And now the question is, Anna, why should hotels embrace this trend? Is it going to work for them, right? And how can they take the first steps towards that? From moving from transactional marketing to relationship marketing?
Yeah, thank you, Johanna. I think that's a great question. While transactional marketing prioritizes short-term and one-time interactions, relationship marketing builds loyalty through long-term connections. And this is, of course, of high relevance for hospitality industry, where guest satisfaction and loyalty play important roles in driving revenue and sustaining business success. So to answer the question why you should embrace this relationship marketing strategy, you can come up with many different ideas, but a few ones that I would like to highlight is to foster customer loyalty, repeat business, to reduce marketing costs. It's typically more expensive to acquire new customers than it is to retain existing ones. Another one could be to increase revenue. Repeat guests tend to spend more, and also they are less price sensitive because they are already familiar with the brand. And then, of course, to improve the guest satisfaction. But if you then move on from the why to the more how do I do it? Where do I start? And I think it sort of funnels down to data. You need to collect, you need to centralize, and you need to use data. You need to personalize the guest experience. And for this, you can use a CRM designed for the industry. You need to engage multi-channel with your guest and through or cross the entire guest journey. And that means from pre-stay to post-stay. You need to make it easy to stay connected. You need to make it easy to be a guest. You also need to be proactive and precise while targeting your guest. And this approach is the opposite to one message fits all, and it requires segmented data. You can also say it's important to be relevant and value adding, and that is to improve conversion, to increase conversion. You should reward loyalty and also be consistent with branding, with messaging. And this is just a few things that I highlight. There are, of course, more you can dig into, but we have a few articles on this on our web, so look into them, transactional and relationship marketing and the difference, and there you will be able to pick up on a few advice and great takeaways.
Great. And I think that's a great point you make regarding, for example, let's talk about like multi-channel approach, right? Like, okay, if your hotel is focused on, let's say, Gen Zs, right? And you are already seeing that Gen Zs are not really into email, then why do you communicate with email if you're trying to build a relationship? So those are questions for everyone here working in a hotel that you need to ask yourself, like, do I know my audience? Do I know what channels they use? If you're trying to build a relationship, then you should be able to reach them where they are. So that's a really,
and Johanna, to add that, when we talk about multi-channel, that gives a variety to pick different channels, but I think it's always important to remember, meet your guests where your guests are, not where you are. You need to make it easy to engage and interact, and that requires a multi-channel strategy today. Email is no longer good enough.
So how does this is a question for, I think, for you, how does a lot of hotel reservations only have, not even an email. They usually have the guest alias email from Expedia or Booking. There is no phone number. There's just the first name and the last name. So how can a hotel, start collecting, besides the email, also, the phone number or another way of communication? What sort of
that's a really, really good conversation and really good question. We often get that because with limited data, it's not that much you can do. But when you have it, when you enrich it, you really see the power of making it possible to use it. But it is a possibility today to collect that data. You can automate or you can trigger automated messages. If the field of phone number, for example, is empty, you can trigger that message and collect it and push it back to also enrich the guest profile and the data you have linked to it. So there are ways to do it. We can go into detail, but maybe we don't have time today. But yeah, great question, Joss.
Maybe one amendment on this subject from us. So in our confirmation letters, which are anyway passing through, even if you have this coded or hidden email from Booking or Expedia, we're leading guests to the so-called online check-in or hotel pass, as we are calling it, where they need to actually prepare some data. And there we are able to capture the actual email address. And then Bookboost or hotelier themselves can actually take over this golden information and use it as they wish.
Yes. And then, yeah, everything is about how you use the data, of course. Okay, that's great. So now we're digging into a little bit more of the areas. Now we are going to move into the revenue management space. Everything is changing there as well. Like so many new things are happening, right? And okay, let's dive a little bit into the rise of dynamic pricing and AI algorithms. So Alexandra, this question goes for you. How can hotels optimize the revenue strategies to maximize profits while still offering competitive pricing to guests?
Yeah, thanks, Joanna. Well, I think talking about AI and artificial intelligence, I mean, that's probably the biggest buzzword out there right now. and all the discussions around ChatGPT and so on. So I think if we start in that end, I think it's really, I mean, AI, it opens up enormous possibilities in all our solutions, I would say, to actually boost and generate results in the end. But if we start with what is actually AI and why should you as a hotelier look for solutions with AI capabilities? So, for example, in Atomize, AI has been in our core since day one. And usually the way our users can see this is because our price recommendations, they are a little bit more fluctuating in the beginning. And that is because the system has machine learning algorithms and self-learning mechanisms. It actually adapts and learns over time. And it learns based on the results from the pricing decisions. And this means that in the beginning, the prices fluctuates more, but over time it becomes more fine-tuning and kind of refined. The adjustments become more fine-tuning. And that is because the system learns and adapts. So that is just like an example of how you as a tech user or a hotel user can actually experience this at first hand. And something I would also like to say, I think that the word artificial intelligence and machine learning is many times also misused a little bit because everyone, as I said in the beginning, wants to ride on this wave. So I think I want to advise hotels to actually dare to ask these sometimes uncomfortable questions. So when talking about RMSs, what's the logic behind your price recommendation? How are your price calculations performed? What kind of data is factored in? And how is that data factored in? And what is the quality of that data source? So I think to really I would advise hoteliers to actually challenge us as vendors, ask these questions. If you're looking for AI capabilities, don't be afraid to dig down. And of course, having said that, of course, there are huge opportunities with implementing dynamic pricing in real time to be sure that you don't have to manually handle your price setting anymore. It happens 24/7, 2 years into the future per room type. And per date. So you save a lot of time. So of course, there's a huge opportunities. And also when talking about not only pricing, but also talking about forecasting, AI can really help you to actually predict demand in a much better way. And today, since many of the RMSs, like ourselves, we have access to future demand insights. Since historic patterns are we can't depend on them as much anymore. So with access to these more kind of proactive data sources, you can have a better forecasting, which will also help you to allocate your resources effectively. So if you know and you can predict your demand, you are also able to affect the cost side and the profit in the end.
Yes, and it's such valuable advice you give about questioning vendors. I think that's right on point because everyone is using AI, right? But maybe it's good to find out, okay, but give me more details. How do you do it? What is behind it? That's only going to be useful when looking for a solution, of course, because you're going to be able to get the real information and dig a little bit deeper to decide which one is the best one, the best alternative for your brand.
Yeah. So having said that, I think that all of our solutions today and everyone that is represented here, we have some level of AI capabilities, right, built in our solutions, and there are different levels of this, of course.
Exactly.
But I think it's important that we also kind of continuously try to challenge ourselves. How can we evolve? How can we include AI even more in our solutions? And having said that, I think at the same time, it's also important to have the opportunity for human input and for human touch. So, for example, if we go back to the Atomize world again, we have the possibility for users to actually input pricing controls and to make sure that your pricing strategy is kind of in line with your brand promise. So then the algorithm can operate within that framework. So you have the possibility, if you want to input kind of human touch. So we do believe in that as well, but it's basically up to you as a user.
That's great, Alexandra. Thank you. We are getting a few more questions that we are going to answer a little bit farther along the hour because we want to tackle some more areas. We are also gonna talk today about upselling, and we have so many interesting questions regarding how can hoteliers leverage that part. So now we're gonna go with Jos. And Jos, here is the question. So there has been a lot of buzz around ABS, right? You mentioned it at the beginning as well. So please just give us a briefly explanation of what it means, but more important, how it works and what are the benefits for hotels? Like, should they be actually using that? Why?
Yep. Well, of course, they should be using it because we believe it works really well. But let me explain a little bit first. What is attribute-based selling? I think the term has been around for 5 to 10 years now, mostly by larger hotel groups that are trying to make this work, or some of technology vendors that are trying to make this work. But it really is very simple. All it does is it takes down the room category and it breaks down each feature that it can find in that room category in a separate sellable component. So for example, if a room category has a living room, a balcony, and a high floor in it, that would be presented as, let's say, the executive suite room category. That sort of kind of implies value. But if you break that down into, let's say, you sell the living room, the balcony, and the high floor separately, then you make it very clear. So you directly convey value to the customer. You make it very clear what he or she is going to get when he or she buys the living room, the balcony, and the high floor. So attribute-based selling is really breaking down each room or room category into whatever feature is attached to it that cannot be physically moved. So like it's an espresso machine is not an attribute necessarily, or it's not part of that attribute-based selling. Of course, you can upsell a room or sell a room with an espresso machine in it, but it's really about the components that cannot be separate from the room category that you sell. And what happens when people buy what they really want, they tend to pay more and be very happy about that. And let me give you a simple example. I'm sure all of you have ordered a pizza online or have gone to a salad bar where you can always buy the standard, let's say the standard salad, and that might cost you 10 euro. So you go to one of those salads bar, I'll have the standard Caesar salad, 10 euro. But you also have always the opportunity to customize that salad. And you can say, I want a salad with this salad, I want the croutons on it, I want the cheese on it, I want all kinds of stuff. And what tends to happen then, you customize, the salad all of a sudden becomes 12 to 13 euros. And you're just as happy paying 13 euros for the same volume of salad, basically, and sometimes even the same salad. But the guest, or the customer in that case, has really picked what he or she wanted at that moment in time and feels very happy to pay that additional 2 to 3 euro. The same is actually happening with attribute-based selling. We've gone live with this solution in February this year. It runs in most of our hotels right now, and it has really increased the cart value that we generate from upsell with about 20%. It has also increased, and this is, I think, very key, the number of transactions that are being purchased through upsell. And we also believe this can be really used for a booking from acquisition point of view. And because the guest, as I mentioned, can really pick exactly what they want and feel very comfortable about it. So, we heard Anna talking about loyalty, personalization, all that stuff really comes into play when you do attribute-based selling, because you no longer guess what is the guest preference. The guest basically picks that moment in time. I want a balcony, and I want a Z view, and I want a low floor, and that generates a price that's usually slightly higher than the room category upgrade, or generally is above or matches whatever the price is being set into the system at that point in time. And how do we do that? I don't want to go too much into the Roomdex itself, but we kind of are in line with the rate strategy that companies like Atomize put into the PMS, and we derive our pricing based off the rate strategy in place, because most hotels don't have a strategy for what do I charge for a balcony, because they only work with rates and room categories. But we can derive prices based off that and automate that process fully. So overall, the attribute-based selling has really helped hotels to give greater personalization to the guests. And of course, it generates slightly more, 20% or so cart value to the guests, to the hotel, sorry.
Excellent. And I think it really aligns with what you were mentioning, because I mean, you are letting the guests choose, and they value that even more. Instead of giving it like a fixed formula, they also get the chance to like, okay, but I want to customize it, right? And then we'll compare, okay, this hotel actually might be cheaper, but doesn't let me get what I want in the way I want it, right? But when you put the guest at the center and you're letting them choose, then of course that creates extra value towards the brand as well. So that's great.
Yeah, and one thing that attribute-based selling can also enable, if you have a deep two-way integration with the PMS, you can sell within the room category, because as you may know, the room category defines what are the features in the rooms in that room category. But especially in older hotels or hotels that are configured, that were the buildings that were already there, each room really has can have very different opportunities. So that basically means that even though the room category says, they have balcony, 3 of the rooms may have, for example, a fireplace, which you cannot sell if you have room category. You can only, kind of do that on request. But with attribute-based selling, you can go as far as, I'm selling the fire place for X number of dollars, and I make sure that when the guest purchases that the room is assigned automatically into the system. So all of that process falls into place. And now all of a sudden, you can also sell within the room category additional opportunities. So again, more revenue and more personalization for the guest.
Yes, so it's a win-win. Great. Thank you for sharing, Jos. And now we've looked into the 4 areas of this webinar, basically. We are digging into, okay, what are the trends from PMS? What is new in revenue management, CRM and marketing and upselling? And that's what we are doing. We are trying to answer your questions as well within the chat, and we will answer some live as well. And now we're gonna start the loop again. I wanna go back to the PMS side, because I have another question that I think is really worth trying now today. So Krasimir, let's talk a bit about features and integrations. So what do you think are the new features and integrations that are available in modern PMS that allow to streamline hotel operations or enhance the guest experience? Like now, everything is about how we can save time, how we can be more efficient, because there is so much work, right? So what are these features that people should be looking for to streamline operations?
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. Well, I guess we need to start where we ended with the previous round of questions which you asked me, and namely, this is that if we say that the new hotel cloud solutions are need to reconsider themselves as an enabler of things, of important goals such as phenomenal guest service, increased staff productivity, I would go to features like, for example, staff collaboration. So most of these cloud solutions are actually mobile or mobile first even, which means that you have a huge opportunity in terms of aligning your staff, of synchronizing their watches, of sending real-time updates, for example, between housekeeping and front desk. That is also the possibility to remarket rooms, because the moment when you get something canceled, you can instantly remarket it on all channels. If there is one feature or integration, because as we said, features and integrations are actually features. Features are not a side, they are not something different from integrations, and integrations are not something different from features. So if we take it from there, there is one integration or feature which I find extremely transformative. And that is the enablement of payment processing from within the PMS. Why is this so transformative, in my opinion? First, simply because when the traditional property management system was invented or conceptualized, if you want to, a small portion of all transactions was actually card payments. Today, there are literally cashless hotels, and there are many. That is a huge enabler of saved staff time if you actually make your PMS your payment enabler or payment processor or whatever you want to call it. But there is one thing that is even more important, and this is that payments are actually the enabler of better guest-facing services. So when Bookboost pushes service, or when Roomdex pushes service to, or an upsell rather, to their guests, we need to make sure that these features will be actually paid. You can't imagine an online check-in or check-out without payments, and they cannot be handled on the terminal anymore, because this way you have no guarantee that they will ever be collected. So obviously you need a payment method on record. You need it maybe even perhaps permanent for that guest or customer, of course, with their consent. Then you need to be able to get the payment. By the way, the very fact that we are bringing in payments within the modern day hotel solutions means that we can even eliminate one question which I always found to be a little bit against hospitality, and that is the question, how do you pay, sir? So from the moment when we have a payment method on record, just like Amazon, for example, when you go to Amazon to buy some stuff with your permanent account, you're not asked about payment method because they already have it. Same goes with Uber, same goes with any vendor of that type. So that's why I think that bringing in payments is so transformative. However, there is much more to it. There isn't one killer feature that you can say is the killer of all features. First, because there are contexts. There are contexts of use, and these contexts of use are different. So for example, if you're managing a full-scale resort, a full-service resort somewhere, maybe you want to integrate the sale of not just rooms, but activities like spa and dining activities together with the main booking. I mean, to make it seamless, completely seamless, like not like making different bookings for each, but rather booking them at once and managing their status at once. For some, let's say, more innovative accommodation property types, it might be important that you allow completely humanless or contactless check-in. Others will be scared if they're in the luxury segment and may not want to go there. So if there is a second transformative feature, though, this is the fact that modern day hospitality solutions have become finally more hospitable, more welcoming, like hoteliers they are designed for, and they welcome great solutions like Bookboost, like Atomize, like Roomdex, and everyone who can contribute value to hotelier to actually join the joint efforts. They extend the force behind you as a hotelier and your capabilities.
Great. Thank you, Krasimir. And now you got it. Like, you heard about so many features that will be key for your hotel, for your team. So please take notes and try to match up and see, like, do I already have that? How can I implement those things, right? Because that's going to be a game changer for your operations. How much time are you using and so on. Okay. That's great. And now we continue on this space. We move on from PMS to CRM and marketing again, right? And now we're going to talk about something that is not completely new, but it's becoming more and more important. And we already started to talk about that, which is how the guest should be at the center of everything, right? So for example, we always say, like, yeah, guests are important, but how important are guests for your hotel? So today, more than ever, we're supposed to put them at the center. So why and how being customer obsessed, as we like to call it, can have an impact on the business of accommodation brands? And just one more, like, is there a difference in how to take it, whether you're a hostel, a hotel, or service apartments? Like, how can we take on that trend, Anna?
Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, to rewind a little bit, being customer obsessed, for the ones hearing that for the first time, it means to prioritize customers' needs and their preferences and put that, the overall experience, that's the most important. And this approach has become crucial in hospitality today for many different reasons. One reason is that there is an increased competition out there. Customers have more options to choose from, and to stand out, hotels need to provide something unexpected, something exceptional, and something memorable to stay top of mind and to make the customers coming back. There is also super powerful social media platform, and it's so easy for guests to go out there and post. So you better take control and leave them with a positive mind. And the point I try to make here is that you need to be guest-centric. And this goes hand in hand with what you just shared, Joss, like the attribute-based selling, to give something that you're willing to pay for and to always put the guest needs first. That is, to be able to do that, you need the support of data. You need a CRM system. And while profiting from a multi-channel CRM system, you will enhance guest satisfaction through data-driven insights, where you can segment and personalize communication and streamline processes. While doing that, while having that in place, you will increase conversion, you will increase efficiency, you will improve customer retention, repeat business, and overall, what we are really nerdy about at Bookboost, you will improve the guest experience. So the questions that you might have now: what do I do? Where do I start? How do I do it? And the easy answer here that I can give, it's actually not that difficult. So once again, we go back to data. You need to use guest data to understand specific guest needs. You need to be able to segment the data to make it relevant, because we all have different needs. You need to personalize the use of the data in your communication. You need to communicate and support. We talked about it before. We call it multi-channel and two-way. It means communicate via the preferred communication channel of the guest, not the one you prefer. You would like to have engagement, drive engagement, increase conversion, and you would also like it to make it easy for them to engage and come back to you. And last but not least, I think it's important to leverage technology to streamline processes and to use or to create operational efficiency and operational effectiveness. And for this, you can use, for example, a guest journey scheduler, an easy to use and automated way to personalize your communication in relevant sequences. And once again, there is so much that I would like to share, so much that we probably all of us would like to share and discuss and deep dive in. But for the ones really feeling curious, interested, I recommend you to have a look once again at our website. We have a few articles about CRM. We have a few articles about Guest Journey Builder, and we also have a step-by-step guide that you can download to get started.
Thank you, Anna. And
did I answer your question there? I didn't really say if there is a difference. I think there is actually between, for example, hostels, accommodation providers, and hotels, but I didn't cover it, right?
Yeah, you forgot that one detail, but can you quickly tell us?
Yeah, sure. They are like, there is no universal strategy or role, but being customer or guest focused, you need to understand your guest. But if we break that down a little bit, for example, if you represent a hostel, you can focus on creating a vibrant, how can you say it? Vibrant and welcoming atmosphere that encourage social interactions among guests, because that could be a relevant focus representing a hostel. For a hotel, for example, to prioritize the comfort of being in a hotel while personalizing services to create a memorable stay. And if we mention something about the service apartment, it could be to emphasize the convenience of a home-like feeling that the service the unit provides. And here comes once again sort of a link to you, Joss. Here you can work with new revenue streams. You can offer grocery shopping, cleaning that might not be included in the initial offer, but you can work with add-ons here.
Yes. So the conclusion at the end, like different brands have different needs. So you can all embrace this trend, right? But of course, it will be different depending on what your brand is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are reaching the final 15 minutes of this webinar, but we have two interesting questions that we want to run through our experts and then know a bit more so we can dig deep into these trends. So we're gonna go back to the revenue management space, Alexandra. And now this is a really straightforward question. So what characterizes modern revenue management software, and how can hoteliers harness its power in a daily basis? Like, now let's answer the question, how can they identify if this is a modern software versus another one that it's maybe a bit outdated?
Well, I think, yeah, thank you, Johanna. Well, I think one of the pieces you should look at is, once again, what type of data sources is the RMS actually considering when optimizing rates? I assume many of you could have heard this before, but historic patterns and historic data is not enough. So we need to also be able to be more proactive with the pricing. We need to look at future demand data, such as search pressure, such as for every market, but also flight search data and so on, to be able to see what is the demand and how is it shifting and how can we be more proactive with the pricing. So I think that's one way to start. But I think also from other aspects that we hear from the market and what I hear from our customers, also where we started this discussion talking about AI capabilities, I do think that what we could experience a couple of years ago, that you saw AI as a black box, you were a little bit afraid of, why should I trust this black box to handle my pricing, for example. But I think as the development of AI, ChatGPT has become more commercialized, I think also that threshold has kind of been lowering. It's not the same barrier as it used to be. And I think what we see, at least from the industry and from hotels, is that they are very interested in learning. And I think it's up to us to also educate the hotels to talk about AI in a more simpler way, to actually simplify it. And I think that's on our shoulders. So talking about modern revenue management software, I would say that it entails some kind of machine learning capabilities. I would also look at the different data sources, as I mentioned, not only the hotel performance and reservation data, but also future demand data. And of course, historic patterns can say something about the future. But the way we handle that in Atomize, for example, is that if our machine learning algorithm doesn't find a pattern in the historic data that can relate to the future pattern, that will be automatically disqualified. So we call that dynamic weight balancing. And that's a capability that we have in our solution to be able to see, at what point in time should we focus more on future demand data? At what point in time should we focus more on the current performance of the hotel? So for example, we have this example when Håkan Hellström is a very well-known artist in Sweden and in the Nordics. And when he releases and announces the date that he's going to have a big concert in Ullevi, which is a huge stadium taking on 70,000 visitors, basically, then you see an instant demand burst. And how should you pick up on that demand burst? The only way is to have access to this real-time future demand data to see, okay, people start to search. People, there's a demand burst in hotel searches. And you have to make sure that you are not the only hotel with rooms left. And you have to make sure that you are the only hotel with rooms left. So you don't risk selling them out too cheap. So that's a perfect example that we usually mention when talking about the value of future demand data. And other than that, talking about modern revenue management software, I think also looking at the return on investment, because sometimes, hotels, they have their budget, but it should not be seen as a cost. It should be seen as an investment. So for the long-term success of a hotel and for a long-term hotel's ability to generate revenue and to not miss out on revenue opportunities. So I think it's really about an investment. And on the other side of the coin, it's also about saving costs and increasing operational efficiency. And I think there are not so many solutions in the market that can do both, both increase revenue and save costs at the same time. So you're really in the need to have some, I would say, in terms of solutions.
Really nice. Thank you, Alexandra. And we're going to stay in the topic of AI that we've been discussing during the webinar, but now we're going to look again towards upselling. And this question goes for you, Jos. So we've been talking about personalization, right? And also a little bit of AI and machine learning. But what role these two things, AI and machine learning, play in tailoring upsell offers to individual guest preferences? And how can hotels achieve a balance between automation and human touch in upselling, right? We've been discussing this point. So how can they reach a balance?
I think I'm beginning with the last point first. How can I reach a balance? I think Anna mentioned it, and Alexandra as well. There is a lot of hotels that seem to think that it's one or the other. So it's either digital or it's at the front desk, but there's not the thought about combining them together. Because I guess historically speaking, hotels think they need to please people at the front desk. They need to have a personalization process going. At that point in time, they need to communicate, interact with the guest, which of course they do. And some guests like that. But there are other guests, a lot of us, I think today, that wouldn't mind doing everything on their phone or on their computer prior to arriving at the hotel. And I think both of them exist today. Both of them will go to every hotel. It's not like one hotel only gets digital customers and the other one only gets people that want to have, a conversation with somebody. So I think to take advantage of upselling or, anything in general around personalization is make sure that you have both channels implemented and that you do that really well. And don't rule out one over the other. Because it's just happening that guests may have their own reason to go to the front desk, or they may want to do it on their phone. A big example is early arrival. It's you want to have the confirmation that you can get your room early before you arrive at the hotel. That's what the value is. If you arrive at the hotel and they have a room ready for you, great. But if you arrive early from a red-eye flight, it's really nice to know I can go into my room right away. And that's something that can really be sold digital in advance. There's no need to wait for that. And that's also where algorithms come into play. I'm not sure whether I would call them 100% AI or machine learning, but we've got algorithms that kind of predict what rooms will be clean and ready, a couple of days before arrival for the guest comes. Alexandra mentioned pricing. There's a lot of pricing that's being automated that helps with not only increasing revenue, but also reduces costs. Same thing on our side. There's a lot of algorithms that we have created that help hotels fulfill prior to arrival the entire administrative effort of getting somebody into a different room or a better room without them having to do anything. It all happens by the system, all automatically, thanks to a full two-way integration to PMS systems. And I think that to me is what really matters at this point in time. Focus on automation, not so much on is AI or is machine learning, but try to find tools that automate processes into your hotel and those tools should allow also for digital and or physical interaction with the guest. That's obviously something that has to remain.
I think it's a great point to find a balance, right? What you were mentioning, it doesn't need to be one or the other. You can leverage both because you're going to have different types of guests. So it's about trying to fulfill the needs of whichever type you get.
Joanna, if you allow me to amend something quick here.
Yes?
Actually, I don't think the digital guest service is about being digital. It's about guest service. So these are not digital or high-touch services. These are one single thing. They're the two sides of the same coin. That's guest service. Actually, the digital guest service is not a new concept. It's not a new trend. It's actually it's not a replacement of the service, actually. It is just an extension of the good service, because there are only two types of services, good and bad. So this is just an extension of the good, high quality service using technology means.
Definitely, for sure. I think right now it's all about how we leverage technology to create a better guest experience. And today with us, we had great partners that have shown us a little bit more of how you can use that technology in your hotel, either with our revenue management software, upselling software from the PMS side, or with a CRM, in this case, like Bookboost. But everything is about how you can empower your team and how you can get better results and at the same time, save time. So we've reached the end of this webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us and for sharing these tips. We will be in touch to share about our next topic, but for now, thank you to our great partners for joining us and for answering all these questions. And yeah, thank you to all our attendees and have a great day.
Thank you too. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.